After watching Godzilla 98, I think I need to cleanse my palate a little bit. Ugh. So let's see what the Japanese can do with Godzilla 2000. Released less than 2 years after Godzilla 98, this movie is Toho saying, "Hold my beer" to America. In fact, they had no intentions of making another Godzilla movie until its 50th anniversary in 2004. Godzilla 98 left that much of a bad taste in everyone's mouth that we were all begging for something better. So, did they deliver? Let's find out. At first, we're introduced to Professor Shinoda, his daughter, Io, and Yuki, a reporter that's tagging along to try to get a picture of the infamous giant monster. Shinoda is the founder of the Godzilla Prevention Network, or GPN for short. They use all this fancy equipment to try to track Godzilla's whereabouts, so they can warn people of his incoming destruction. And they're in luck, because an attack has just been registered. They race off to try to get some photos, and, well, they get close enough. Yuki takes a picture with the flash on that triggers Godzilla, who chases after him. Luckily, Shinoda's a pretty good driver, and he manages to get him out of there. Elsewhere, we see a bunch of rich snobs, and we learn later on that this guy, Katagiri, is the leader of the Crisis Control Intelligence, which basically does the same thing GPN does. But instead of trying to keep Godzilla alive to study, the CCI wants to kill him. Anyway, he just caught word that a meteorite was found at the bottom of the ocean floor, and for whatever reason, that excites Katagiri. One thing we do get a lot of is Godzilla destruction early on in this movie, which is nice to see. I also like the suit this time around. Just his face is a little goofy looking with those teeth, but overall, it looks great. I would hope so. After making 643 Godzilla movies, they should be pretty good at making rubber suits. The tail's always moving, and they used animatronics where it counts. Back at the Crisis Control Intelligence headquarters, we learn that they want to try to use the meteorite they found as an alternative to fossil fuels. So they lift it out of the ocean. But when they do, it seems to rise by itself, like it's being controlled by something. And also, it looks like a giant turd. I just had to point that out. On the surface, they do some testing on the meteorite, trying to drill into it, but always hitting something hard that they can't get past. They also learn that it's 60 to 70 million years old, so it's been sitting here for a while. Godzilla continues tromping around, going to different power sources as he goes. Shinoda and Katagiri meet up, and we can tell that there's a history there that ended badly. Even so, it looks like the two will need each other if they're going to figure out this meteor and try to stop Godzilla. Speaking of the meteor, it stood up. Yeah, sticking right out of the ocean. It turns out that it responds to the sun, following it in the sky. So that's something. Back to Godzilla, who decides to take a nice leisurely stroll on the beach, and the military comes in attacking, like they can do anything at all. When will they learn? Just then, the meteor gets up and flies away. That's right, there's definitely something controlling it. It flies around for a bit until it spots Godzilla, and the two face off for a minute, firing atomic blasts at each other, which ends with Godzilla retreating. Shinoda takes a sample of the giant monster to study, and I'd say it's safe to say that the meteor is, in fact, a UFO. What they think happened is 60 million years ago, this UFO crashed into the ocean. Seeing how it's powered by light, and there's no light down there, it sat dormant until us humans brought it to the surface. During the fight, we saw its gun, and that it was powerful enough to take out Godzilla. So, naturally, we want that technology. It's still up in the air if the aliens on board the ship are friendly or not, but this is a Godzilla movie, so take a wild guess. In another lab, Shinoda's putting his efforts towards studying Godzilla, and he's discovered, using that skin sample, that his cells regenerate at a rapid rate.
Look at that.
Basically, instantly curing him. Bad if you're trying to kill him, but good if you can apply this knowledge to humans. Seeing how Shinoda discovered this, he gets to name it, and he chooses Regenerator G1. Which, okay, but why not name it Shinoda is Cool or Godzilla Forever? I mean, it just seems like a wasted opportunity to me. Well, the UFO wakes up and flies in the air until it lands on top of a skyscraper, but not before it takes out a few helicopters. So if there was any question, yeah, this is the bad guy of the movie. It lands on the skyscraper and takes a little nap. It gets its power from the light, and it's now nighttime. Tonight would be the only chance the humans will get to fight this thing, so they better work fast. To make matters worse, they see that this thing is actually hacking into all the computers in the city, learning as much as it can about our world. Katagiri has no choice but to try to blow up the UFO, so his team places bombs all over the building. But Yuki's still in there, trying to figure out what the aliens want. Shinoda and Io come in to save her, and seeing how he's better with computers, Shinoda stays behind to see what's going on. But he only has 10 minutes to figure it all out. After that, Katagiri's blowing the place up. Even after he gets word that people are still inside, he doesn't care. Katagiri's nothing if not punctual.
No delays.
Plus, he kinda hates Shinoda, so I guess it's win-win for him.
Looks like I'm gonna have to send more flowers.
Even so, our hero gets the data he needs and makes his escape. And as you would guess, he cuts it close. The bombs go off, but of course, it does absolutely nothing to the UFO. Good job, guys. Angry, it now shoots a laser beam down through the building. But thankfully, it's super slow, giving Shinoda plenty of time to escape the flames and make it out alive. Back at CCI headquarters, we figure out what the aliens want. They need to change the Earth's atmosphere to make it livable for them. And they're interested in Godzilla because of the Regenerator G1 contained inside of him. And speak of the devil, because our giant hero just showed up. He has only one thing on his mind: revenge. It's time for the final showdown, and it's a doozy. First, the UFO uses the city's cabling to contain Godzilla, but that won't hold him for long, and he melts through it. They fire atomic blasts at each other for a while, but after a little bit, it's honestly not looking very good for Godzilla, who's getting his butt handed to him. The UFO sprinkles down some energy and mixes it with the Regenerator 1 cells from Godzilla, and they end up making their own new monster, which morphs and evolves into what they call Orga, who honestly looks pretty cool. Godzilla takes out the UFO, so at least that's dealt with, but we can see the regenerative properties Orga has. After a bunch of atomic blasts and the monsters biting each other for a while, Orga ends up opening its mouth like a snake and starts eating Godzilla whole. He warms up his entire body and prepares for a giant explosion. Which, when the smoke settles, Orga's been blown in half. Godzilla swings by to have a chat with the humans, who all go running except for Katagiri, who's happy to be this close to the monster. Then he falls in a crack in the building and dies. So, was it worth it? As he walks away, the humans wonder why Godzilla continues to save humanity time and time again. That's when Shinoda says maybe Godzilla exists in all of us, and that's why he protected them. Yeah. And that's why he's destroying Tokyo for fun? Because he loves us? Okay, cool. And that was Godzilla 2000. And what'd you think? Way better than Godzilla 98, that's for sure. But not without its flaws. It does feel a little rushed, like they just wanted to get it out as quickly as they could to cover up the American Godzilla. I like the guy in rubber suit parts, but there are moments they opted for CGI, and that was a big mistake. There's also a lot of weird lines, which obviously are only in the English dub, but saying things like this,
I guarantee it'll go through Godzilla like crap through a goose,
is pretty dumb. They also ignore every other Godzilla movie except for the first one, which is something that they do a lot in this series, but they don't explain how Godzilla's alive in the first place. I mean, we killed him in the first movie, he was just bones, but okay, I guess just ignore that part and have fun. There's no explanation as to what Godzilla is, how he was created. At this point, he's just something you track like a hurricane, which is kind of cool. The music is great, of course you get the classic Godzilla theme, but it's good throughout, and the story moves along at a good pace. Just when you think, hey, it's been a while since I've seen Godzilla, he makes his appearance. The UFO was an interesting monster and Orga was cool too. Godzilla 2000 is a pretty good movie, and if you're a fan of the big guy, chances are you've already seen this one. I give it 3 Godzillas being eaten whole out of 4.
Down that hallway, take the first left.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Then when you get to the end, turn right.